Hey, The Fallen State is looking for interns. There's 2 requirements. You have to live in the LA area and you have to love The Fallen State. Click right here to apply.
The Fallen State is amazing. Subscribe now.
Restless, I am so restless, and this changing world leaves me speechless. I am lost for words, but I kept my nerve.
Welcome to The Fallen State. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Today I'm joined by a practicing witch. No, not Maxine Waters. This is a good witch. I have with me Maja D'Aoust. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure, Jesse. Thank you for having me.
So you are a witch.
Correct.
And so you were walking down the road one day and you decided, I want to be a witch.
I came out this way, actually. I've been this way a long time.
So you were born a witch?
Correct. From the time I was small, I had strange experiences, and as a teenager, I was called to nature practices. A lot of people don't really know what a witch is or have different ideas.
Right.
And there's different people that take it different ways, too. For me, it's one who studies nature and obtains wisdom through nature. So that's, the word witch means wise one, or like a seeker of knowledge.
Amazing. Was your mother a witch?
She was. She studied all kinds of religions. She lived in Tibet for several years, studying Buddhism there, and just was always in natural environments. So she was very much inclined to those kinds of callings as well.
How about your father?
He got more into, crime and drugs a little. That was more his path he took. But we all have different ways that we go.
So you are known as the White Witch of Los Angeles.
I changed my name actually to Witch of the Dawn because I don't like, and had some conversations with people, I use White Witch to make sure people know I'm not trying to hurt people. But the term white to use is a little, has become offensive because we shouldn't think of white as good and black as bad.
Oh,
so
Lord.
I decided to change the title to eliminate that sort of confusion.
Really?
Yes.
So because your title is the White Witch of Los Angeles, you automatically think that others going to compare.
Oh, no, people were.
They were
there
saying,
were
well,
people, yes.
Why do you call yourself
Correct.
White Witch? That means that Black Witch is not good.
That's right.
That's insane.
I agree. However, in the interest of respect for all people, I'm happy to sacrifice that.
Oh.
I just want to make sure people understand I'm not about trying to go punish people or manipulate people or try to, do that kind of stuff.
And so what do you do every day as a witch?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, I do a lot of things, mostly healings. So I'll work with plants and herbs with people who are sick, or Qigong healings. I do a lot of energy work, and I've practiced martial arts for about 20 years. So I will move energy in people. I went to school for Chinese medicine, so I'll incorporate that kind of acupuncture knowledge as well.
Right.
I'll also use divination. I use an ancient Chinese form of divination known as I Ching. I also work with the tarot and do astrological readings for folks to help them get. I don't do so much future stuff because the future, who knows?
That's right.
But it'll help people to make better choices sometimes through the divination, or arrive at a sort of peace or psychological balanced state.
Do you feel like a witch?
I do 100%.
And what's the feeling of a witch? What does that feel like?
So I'm constantly trying to be aware of my surroundings, of what's happening, of who I'm talking to. So if I feel like a witch, it means I'm aware. I feel the wind. I know where the sun is in the sky.
Wow.
So that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when I think of witches,
Yeah.
I often think of evil witches.
Yes.
And even when they say they're good witches, I still think that they're
still have a
evil.
block.
Right. And so when you walk around, you feel spirits with you?
Correct, I do.
And are these good spirits or evil spirits?
I am one of the people that like to go to one. Okay, so for me, spirit is one, and then from spirit, there's all kinds of things, right? So even though spirit is one thing, it'll take a lot of forms.
Define spirit for me.
That's a good question. When I have felt spirit, to me, it felt like electricity, but I guess it's life itself would be how I would describe the feeling I get. It's like the feeling of being alive.
And is it on the inside of you or the outside?
Both.
Really?
Correct.
Both spirits, it's either inside or outside. Is it at the same time? You
Yes.
can feel it inwardly and outwardly?
Every time you breathe, it comes in and out, right? I guess like the Holy Spirit, they describe it as breath,
Right.
right? In
Yes.
a lot of the Christian and Hebrew traditions.
Right.
So for me, I would, in a lot of my meditations, when I'll go into my breath, that's where I feel it immediately connected.
And are they good spirits?
Well, there's not really good or evil. Here we're going to get into some tricky territory with the notion of an evil witch too, right?
Right.
So when you study nature, you see everything just is. Our judgments we're going to put on stuff,
Interesting.
but spirit just has stuff. Is it good? Is it evil? I don't know the answer to that question.
So you don't believe that there is good and evil?
I think there's many different things. I think there's differences. I think some things have a certainly negative charge and other things can have a positive charge.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
But to say good or evil, I think is a judgment.
Are you ever attacked by what seems to be evil spirits?
Sure, I can get attacked by negative charges. I will agree.
In what way? Give me an example of what they do to you sometimes.
Sure. So, and when I deal with people, I can see they'll have a negative charge too, right? In a lot of the
yes.
divination,
I've
you
seen
can
that.
you can feel it too.
Right.
You get into so you'll start to feel sick.
Yes.
Usually, I'll feel it in my gut.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And do you believe in God?
That word is tricky. I don't feel like I need belief because I can experience directly what I would call spirit. And when I experience spirit, it's one universal thing. So a lot of people will use the word God and they're talking about something that I'm not talking about. So it's a tricky word, right?
Yeah.
And for different people, that word means different things because it'll be denominational once it gets into humans.
Right.
But the experience I've had, it seems silly to me that people denominate into religions, right?
Do you know why they do that?
Mind problems, maybe.
I noticed that, and I've been guilty of it too, is
Me
that
too.
whenever I identify with something, I tend to want to own it.
That's
and so
right.
in order to own it, I got to name it.
Possessive, it's like
Yeah.
a possession.
But when you don't name it, you don't feel like ownership of it.
It's free.
Yeah. And so you have 2 kids,
I do.
daughters?
2 daughters. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you married?
I am divorced.
You were married.
I was married, yes.
And so did your husband know you were a witch before he married you?
He did. I'm very open. He was Christian.
A Christian married a witch?
That's correct.
What was he thinking?
Well, if you're a true Christian, you know that love is for all things.
Even for the
right?
witches.
Even for the witches. Because there is not a spot where God is not.
Amazing. And so you dating this guy, you guys walking around with the Christian and the witch.
Correct.
And when you first met him, you say, look, I want you to know I'm a witch.
I disclose. I full disclosure, right?
And then he said, no problem, I'm a Christian.
That's right.
Did he try to convert you?
No, but I've read the Bible. I read all kinds of material from all religions. I'm a scholar, so I get real into the nitty-gritties. And I love having discussions and debates. It doesn't bother me if someone has a different ideology or belief than I do.
How long were you married?
We were married for about 5 years and together for around 7 years.
And what was his impression of you, living with you and dealing with you? And
It's funny because we met in a martial arts dojo because he was a martial artist as well.
Oh, okay.
So in terms of first impressions, we were fighting, like literally physically fighting from the get-go.
Right.
But we just had an affinity with each other.
Okay.
Right? So that was really what it went off of. And you know, when you come into an affinity with someone, everything will just flow and
right,
go.
yeah.
Yes.
And so was he a good man?
Yes, he still is a good man.
And why did you guys divorce?
Well, it came down to a lot of irreconcilable differences, unfortunately. We went to therapy and tried to talk it out, but there were philosophical disagreements. There were also disagreements with lifestyle because I was starting to have a career and he felt like that maybe wasn't a good idea.
Right. So you had these kids and you wanted to work and he didn't want you to work?
That's right.
And why did you follow him? Why did you not take his advice?
I disagreed with it, and I also had an entire community of people that required my presence. So it was a little larger. For me personally, I had a lot of people that kind of needed my work.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
And did you know that prior to marrying him that, he's a Christian, he's not going to want me to work once we have kids, but I'm into
I did not know that part. No.
And why not? Why do you guys talk about that?
We did not have that discussion, which is funny, right? You'd think that would come up.
Especially being a witch and he's been a Christian.
True.
Two different mentalities.
Correct. He's a very good father,
okay.
And we managed to have a family even though we're divorced and to have the children. And I'm very open with all of that stuff with the kids. And if they have questions about any of that. So we have a good situation.
Do you regret marrying a Christian man rather than another witch?
No, I don't.
Are there witch men?
Yes, witch is not a gender statement, yeah.
So there are men who are running around saying that they're witches?
Correct,
It
yes.
sounds so feminine to be a witch.
That's an affiliation, right, that you've gotten through culture.
Are these heterosexual men who are witches?
I think both, heterosexual and probably homosexual as well. Both,
yeah, I can kind of see a homosexual being a witch.
Right.
Because
well, a lot of my friends who are gay that are men will have a closer link to their intuition, right? So they'll be kind of more into the feminine energy, right?
Yeah. Amazing. Are you a feminist?
I'm a humanist.
And what is that exactly?
I think that all people deserve all rights. I think a lot of feminists are kind of attacking men as an enemy, but I would disagree with that standpoint.
Yeah.
I believe all humans are equal. I don't think you have to make an enemy out of anyone.
I was going to ask about that, and there's a serious attack upon men right now.
I agree.
They're trying to kill them.
It's true.
And you're not in agreement with that?
I don't agree with making anyone an enemy.
And why do you think there's this attack upon men, and especially white men, but all men?
Sure, all men, really.
But especially white men.
I think it's a kickback. Whenever people get put into a victimized position, right? I can understand and I can sympathize with a point of view that the way to address that is to just eradicate what you perceive as a threat, right?
Right.
That's a very human choice.
Right.
However, it's not the best choice.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
I feel like the better choice is to figure out how everyone can be happy
To
and live
overcome it
together.
and-
Yes.
Amazing. And do the feminists know that, are they aware that you believe this and feel this way?
I get a lot of disagreement from other women and other witches as well. There's a lot of witches that feel like they need to use magic to punish
Right.
men.
I was going to ask about that.
In order, and I get it, it's because they've been damaged or harmed, right? But that's more of like a vengeance action.
To the rebellion, to our refusal as women to accept this new age of tyranny. I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
He just doesn't seem to have a fundamental understanding of what immigrants do for this country.
The hatred and bigotry has got to stop.
And just like what a despicable person he is and how many people still rallied behind him.
I'm hurt to my core.
I cried hysterically thinking about my daughter's future. That's the hardest part for sure, is having a daughter and explaining how someone so terrible could win the highest office in the land.
reading and face.
Has this huge responsibility to represent those that have been oppressed. And so far, the most that he's done is just create dissonance within our nation.
Can a dark witch, meaning an evil witch, punish a man? Like, can she go into her closet, bring out the broom, and do the witch boo 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 kind of thing, and the man is not aware of it or anything? Can she cause destruction for him?
Well, I can only speak from my own experience in that department.
Okay.
But what I can say is that as humans, we are all connected to each other, right?
Right.
So what one human does can have an effect on another human.
Even if you're not aware of it?
I think so.
So if there's a dirty witch sitting in a closet somewhere,
ruminating,
right, and she's upset at John Doe because she saw him on TV and John Doe said, I don't like feminist women. And can this witch go into the closet and affect that person?
People can do whatever they want,
but is it more of a mentality thing?
The mental plane is real. I mean, people
I know,
can
but if
say,
I don't know that the dark witch is after me, how would that hurt me?
Because we're connected, right?
So would they feel it?
Mechanism, right? So you're thinking, how can that happen? The mechanism of how we affect each other is through our connection to all humans. If all humans, think about it like your body. So if I'm a cell on my leg and there's another cell in another part of my body, those two can be directly affected by each other. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So if you think of human beings as one organism, we can have effects on each other.
A dark witch and a good witch.
Yes.
Can they fight against each other?
Sure,
in separate locations and
yes, because non-locality, right? We can have quantum effects on each other. I know all the scientists are going to have a fit.
I know. Have you fought with a dark witch or evil witch?
I don't fight against other humans. My choice for fighting goes on to higher levels. So like if there's a person who has some kind of problem with me, I'm not gonna demonize them or attack them as a person. That's ad hominem, right? Socrates talks about if you're gonna attack the person. So I'm gonna try to take it to a principle.
You attack the spirit inside the person.
No. I'm gonna attack the principle and value that they're basing their justification to attack me on.
Oh, I see.
That's what I'm gonna do.
So give me an example. Let's say that the evil witch see the good witch, and they're jealous. You're very pretty, so they're jealous of you.
Sure.
They're like, that good witch thing, she is so beautiful.
Good example.
Right.
So my response to that is to let them know how beautiful they are too.
But they're not though.
Everyone is beautiful. Come on.
You think
they just can't see it. If there's something like, I came in a meat suit that is presentable, right?
Right.
But that doesn't have anything to do with beauty.
Right.
Right?
Well, sometimes.
She just can't find her beauty. That's where jealousy comes from.
Oh, I see.
She had her own beauty and knowledge of that. She would not attack me. So it's actually a misunderstanding.
And so you just wouldn't hold any grudges against the bad witch?
That's right.
Amazing. There are witches out there who are performing binding spells.
Yes.
And on President Trump.
Yes.
Did you know about that?
I do. There's a big community of them that are very active, and they do it periodically.
They are performing binding spells on the Great White Hope.
That's right, the Great White Hope. Again, I understand their perspective, although I do not share it.
And so there are a community of witches who are doing this.
Yes.
And you are aware of them.
I am.
How did you find out that they were doing it?
I was approached by several of them on Facebook and social media.
And what did they say to you?
They wanted me to join in the binding ritual, and my response was, liberate all, bind none.
Amazing. So they're like, let's bind this Great White Hope.
That's right.
And so what does it mean to bind?
Well, a binding spell is very specific, and it tries to block or prevent someone's energies from acting. Okay, so in the Bible, they talk about how Michael bound Lucifer. I don't know if you're familiar with that passage.
Yeah.
So that has an idea of placing similarly a kind of bondage over someone to prevent their actions from being effective.
What is it that they want to bind about him, the Great White Hope?
I'm not really sure. I think that they're taking Donald Trump's personality and placing blame on him for things that are larger issues.
Yeah.
So they're taking focus on a person who maybe believes certain beliefs that they disagree with or are gross or dehumanizing or something, and then they're trying to punish or blame the individual that they feel is responsible for that.
Interesting. And so it's not working though, right?
He's still perfectly operable, so maybe they're not so good at magic.
It's not working.
Right?
As a matter of fact, they might be helping
need
him.
a little more mojo. Maybe that's why they came to me, but I couldn't help
So
them.
are they aware that they're binding stuff? Has this been going on for about a year or so?
I think so, yeah.
And are they aware that it's not working?
I mean, it seems like all you have to do is turn on the TV to find that out. It's
Yeah.
pretty accessible information.
Yeah.
Right?
And so what would they do when they realize, well, this is not working on the president? Do they gather more bad witches, or
Maybe they try to think more people will solve the problem. I'm not sure.
My name is Ashley Judd.
Ashley Judd is here.
And I am a feminist. And I didn't know devils could be resurrected, but I feel Hitler in these streets. I am not as nasty as racism, homophobia, sexual assault, transphobia, white supremacy, misogyny, white privilege. We are here to be respected. We are here to be nasty. Is your erection really more than protecting the sacred, messy part of my womanhood? Is the bloodstain on my jeans more embarrassing than the thinning of your hair?
And I came straight from that hotel room at the Peninsula down to the lobby.
I have been zipping up my smile, hoping you don't think I want to unzip your jeans.
And I came straight from that hotel room at the Peninsula down to the lobby.
Our pussies are for our pleasure.
And I came straight from that hotel room at the Peninsula down to the lobby.
So if you, a nasty woman, and you love one who is, let me hear you say, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So how do you feel about the Great White Hope?
My personal opinions are pretty irrelevant. I try to have as few of them as possible.
Do you have any?
My personal opinion about that is I feel like there's good and bad that all people can do. If someone's doing something that is dehumanizing or harming people, I feel like that needs to get addressed. I think that needs to get addressed, and I think it needs to get rectified. I think if someone's promoting policies that endanger or cause damage to people, that needs to get addressed. I think every single president of the United States has done things that harm individual people.
Would you get in trouble if you said to me, yeah, I really like this president?
I'm sure I'd get in trouble no matter. I'm probably already in trouble for things I just said.
And so do you like the president?
I like all human beings.
But how about him as president?
Him as president, I think that there's a lot of good and bad in Mr. Trump.
Really?
I do.
I have not seen a bad.
No bad at all?
No.
We all do, come on.
I mean,
you can't
since-
see your bad either, maybe.
No, I see mine, but
Then
since,
you know everyone does. It's no biggie.
But since being president and putting the country first,
For sure, with his policies.
have you seen any bad in him?
I think we all have shadows that need to get addressed. So I would never want to say that no one has
So you haven't
those.
seen anything, you just believe that something is there,
Well, I think that's inherent.
but you haven't seen anything.
I'm not, I mean, in terms of what he's done and executed as policy.
Right.
I mean, I'd have to go through the list, I guess.
Okay.
So I would be uneducated on that.
Oh, do
so
you vote?
unable to make a good opinion.
Do you vote?
I'm a dual citizen between Canada and the United States, so I'm unable to vote.
Oh, lucky you.
I know, right? I get out the back door.
I'm telling you.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hello, everybody. Troll your liberal family members by getting them our brand new Fallen State t-shirts. On the front, it says, The Fallen State. On the back, it says, That's amazing. And don't forget our coffee mugs. The front, The Fallen State. The back, Did you have fun? And don't forget my book, The Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. You can out of here. You can go to TheFallenState TV and order now. Have you ever heard of the Wicked Witch of the West?
Oh, like from the Oz books?
No, from
Oh,
South Central.
different.
From
No,
South
I don't.
Central
Oh,
LA.
no, who's this?
Maxine Waters. How would you like to come up to that with that dark, come up against that dark witch?
That's fine with me.
You can handle her?
Listen, all things on planet Earth are handleable.
Give me an example of healing someone.
So one example that I'll give you, through the practices I learned, I had a client, she had polycystic ovary syndrome. She had not had a menstrual period for 3 years.
Amazing.
Okay? I had one session with her. I used the Qigong technique. She had her period the next day.
Really?
Correct.
And what is a Qigong technique?
Qigong utilizes energy movement. So basically, you're going to try to move their blood. A lot of times, most people's problem is stagnation,
Right.
not moving, right? So you just have to move it. So as soon as she moved the energy, then she
So
was
you
fine.
had her lay on her back and you did this thing?
Put my hands on her.
And then you commanded the energy to start flowing?
What I do, I'll tell you, it's real simple. I just move it in myself.
Oh, you with your hand on her.
I don't mess with the other person.
Oh, I
I
see.
just stand there and be myself.
And can you feel this energy moving while your hand is on your hand?
We
is
both
on-
felt it, and a lot of times the wind will come in. I know everyone will get all whatever.
Oh, I would jump up and run out. If the wind come, I'm gone. Do you warn them that the wind might come?
I don't ever know what's going to happen.
Oh, really? Is that energy the same as the Spirit of God?
I think the Spirit of God is in everything, right?
Oh, okay.
So there's no, to me, I don't feel like even negative energies are still part of God.
I read that you also teach other people about witchcraft, spirituality, and much more.
Yes.
What is witchcraft first?
So that would be like the practices, right? Like divination, meditation, all those kind of things.
I've always thought until right now
Sure.
that when I hear the word witchcraft, I just automatically think of evil.
I know. That's a cultural ignorance.
So witchcraft can mean good,
Correct.
but we've been taught that it means bad.
Yes.
But can it mean bad as well?
Sure.
Okay, so like an evil witch can lay her hands on you and make you worse in life.
Probably.
Amazing. Were you close to your father and mother?
My father was in prison most of the time, so
Really?
he was removed. But my mother, yes.
So you were close to your mother.
Yes.
And your father was a witch, but a bad witch.
I mean, I guess you would call it that, right?
He was a drug dealer witch.
Correct.
And what does a drug dealer witch really look like? How do they perform?
In terms of him, I mean, it's just kind of selfish, I guess you would say, right? Without concern for other people.
Is he still in jail?
He has passed away.
Oh, and did you get to love him and know him before he expired?
I did. I made an effort. Even after all the years of estrangement, I forgave him for everything and understood his situation and made efforts to contact him.
What was it like growing up without him for you?
I didn't really focus on it very much. I just focused on other things and my mother and the family, so I tried not to dwell on it.
What type of your mother still living?
Yes.
How come women kill men first You notice that
Why
men
they
die?
kill men first? Oh, why he passed away before? I don't know that that's the fault of any woman.
You notice that the men die before the women?
Lifespan-wise, yes, correct.
And so women kill men?
I think some women kill them, but scientifically they discovered that because women menstruate, we have less iron in our blood.
Oh.
And they feel like the lifespan of men might be shorter because y'all never get rid of or lose your iron, and that can cause heart failure.
Amazing. I've never heard that before.
That's true. You can Google it.
Really?
Yeah. But if you think it's because the women are attacking the men,
Yeah, they
I can't
stress
say
them out.
that's not true.
They-
But we all have personal responsibility. If you're getting stress from a woman, what's your role in that?
That's true.
Right?
Yeah. Why? What would be wrong with me that I would allow the woman
Correct.
to
Why you gotta
stress me?
blame and shame?
Did you stress your ex?
Did I stress him? I think all humans stress each other. I'm sure he experienced stress as a result of me.
So did he tell you that?
We would have some disagreements, sure.
And you would say, I'm sorry, honey, for stressing you. I can't help
Sure.
it.
It's not that I can't help it, but maybe what my actions stressed him, but I wasn't trying to stress him. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, I was just being myself. Sometimes who we are is aggravating to other people.
Right.
Can you believe that?
I do. Did you ever believe, at any point in life, did you ever believe in a religion? Like, were you a Christian or
Sure, I
something
went to
else?
church when I was little.
Did that work for you?
I did not have any experience of God in church ever.
Really?
My experiences of spirit have all been in nature or through shamanic meditative practices.
And so your mother was a Christian at one point?
She took us to church. I don't know that I would say she necessarily believed in Christian dogma.
How did you see Christianity at the time that you were a Christian?
It was unsatisfying to me because it did not answer many things and I couldn't feel it. So that's what drove me to search for answers.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, do you believe that there is I know you don't believe that there is a God, right?
A spirit, I would say. I mean,
But
God
you-
is a word.
So
sure.
do you believe there is a spirit God?
Yes, I do.
So there is a
Not
God.
belief, experienced.
Oh, okay. So
There's
let me.
a difference.
I want to come back to that.
Yes.
So you believe there's a God, but you believe he is a spirit.
That's funny. Why do you think he?
Because there's no way he could be a she.
I would say androgynous.
Oh.
How would you place a gender upon a universal force?
But he's of the masculine personality.
Is
You would
it?
agree to that, right?
I would agree that it would have to include absolutely everything. How could a creator not include every possible aspect of everything?
Well, he does say that he's neither male or female, but he is
That's
of the.
more my jive.
He's of the masculine persuasion, though.
If you think of
Because-
masculine energy in terms of that creator, right?
Yeah.
It's all yang, like the sun,
Yeah.
right? So if you're talking like in that term, but again, I would say it would have to include all the components. It has to be totality. That's for me to be satisfied.
Oh.
But, we
Well,
can differ.
it can't be of the feminine spirit
I
because
would say it would have to be every.
feminism is a weakness. It's not masculine. There's no. It is subject to masculinity. You would agree to that, right?
I think they're both connected to each other. You
Well-
can't have a strong masculine unless you have the dark feminine. They're both part of the same thing, right? How can you separate? You can't even have a masculine unless it comes from a mother.
But I noticed that if masculinity or masculine is not there,
Right.
feminine would go out of control.
Sure.
Like a balloon.
And if feminine was not there, the masculine would go out of control as well.
You think?
Absolutely.
In what way?
You can see it through aggression, right? If the masculine force is untempered through the feminine, it'll keep creating like cancer. So it's a creative force, right? And that needs temperament. So cancer is something that grows and grows and grows and just keeps going. That's an example of unmitigated masculine energy.
But it's the wrong relationship with the feminine.
You have to
energy.
have a relationship with the feminine.
But it's the wrong kind of relationship with that causes masculinity to go out of control.
Sure, I agree. There has to be balance,
Oh, okay.
right? To me,
Yes.
it's about balance, but that's more the nature business.
You talk a lot about belief and what? You said
Experience.
It's not belief, it's experience.
That's right.
What's the difference?
If you are going to believe in something, that means you're placing faith without any direct knowledge, right? That's like the philosopher Immanuel Kant called that a priori knowledge, okay? So you're just going to have to make an assumption. But then there's things that you can directly experience and have it like happen before your eyeballs. You can feel it in your flesh, right? Like for example, you can believe in the ocean, or you can go to the ocean and have a swim. Why are you going to sit around and not participate?
You were a Christian, you had a different mentality about everything. Then you you got into this and things changed. What is wrong with Christianity now that you're outside looking in?
I think that Christianity today in churches is not real Christianity. I think it's gotten so far removed from the true teachings of Christ. For me, I'm an investigator, okay? So I wanted to find out, where does the Bible come from? What are the words, right? What's the translation?
Right.
What's all this garbage that people think it is versus what it truly is, right? So when I started investigating the true origins of Christianity and what Christ really meant and what those teachings were, in my opinion, it just wasn't being practiced in most of the churches or conveyed. So I was like, I just don't feel like it's true.
If the truth dwells within you, and you mentioned that, why look on the outside for it at all?
Well, on the outside, it'll give like, I call it a ping back, right? So if I have truth in me, and I want to have a feeling of truth, I can go and it'll give like a resonance, right? So if we're talking and you're talking truth and I'm talking truth, we're going to feel it, right? It'll kind of like bounce back. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah. So I like to feel that feeling. So I'm going to go looking for it. I'm a truth junkie.
Do human beings need books in order to know the truth?
No, I have this saying that I say, maybe other people have said it. Before logos, there was eros, okay? So before the word, there is love. You can feel, you don't need the word. But people use language and words. It's what we do.
Right.
We're doing it now.
Right.
Here we go. So do I think you need it? No.
What is love?
It's a feeling and a force. I think a lot of people think love is like romantic, right? Everyone gets all...
Is that a fake love?
I think it's an aspect of love. But as through my seeking for truth, what I found is that love is a universal force. It's not even about human beings, right?
Is it
it's
a
much
spirit?
Bigger.
Is it a spirit?
I think it's almost like life itself. Like love is that thing that connects, that brings everything together, right? Where death is like a separator. Love is the thing that keeps everything coming back together.
How do you see this, in the few minutes we have left, how do you see this whole race issue between blacks and whites and all that stuff going on, men and women? How do you see that?
I think I understand it because of all the damage people have done to each other, you know? And I think I'm with Martin Luther King on it, where I feel like we all have to acknowledge, love each other, fix the problems of ignorance that are so predominant on all ends, not in a way to demonize any person, but in a way to free everyone from oppression and ignorance.
The reality is everyone is not going to change.
True.
You're going to have the mean, the bad people.
That's
you're going to have
nature,
the good.
right?
And so it's up to the individual to overcome the darkness and walk in the light. Because everybody's not going to change. Yeah. Do you have issues with your thoughts and different thoughts that comes to you?
I'm a thinkerson, so I think a lot of thoughts.
Do you see them as your enemy or your friend?
No. Well, there's two kinds of thoughts, right? And you'll know in Christianity there's the deceiver or the adversary.
Right.
And I'll engage the adversary every day. Sure, why not? That's how you learn. But you have to be able to discern, right? What is a deceiver thought or an adversary thought that's trying to get you to the truth?
Give me a quick example of engaging the adversary in your mind.
Sure, so if you're mean and you're talking to me, maybe I get some deceiver thoughts that are like, ooh, I hate you, you're a bad person, right? You have to defend yourself against this person or blah-de-blah. I know what's true is you're human and I'm a human.
Oh, I see.
So I'm not going to pay attention to deceiver. I'm going to recognize that that's there.
How about when he tells you that you are a bad person
Sure.
and you need to commit suicide?
Yes, that happens to people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you're just a worthless nothing and no one cares about you.
That's right.
How do you deal with that?
I know the truth is that I'm a precious, precious being, and that truth is untouchable. So you have to have that knowledge in yourself. And no matter what, it's like a bully. When I was young, I was fat.
Really?
And I would get bullied.
I
in
can't
school.
even imagine that.
I was a great big fatty. So I received a lot of hate and a lot of bullies.
Right.
And they would try to tell me like deceiver, okay? So a bully is like a deceiver voice.
Right.
You're no good, you suck, you're ugly. So I learned as a child how to love myself.
Oh, 2 final questions.
Yes.
What is a man?
Oh, that's a good question. I think to me, you know, like you said, it's that masculine force, that masculine energy. I think men, their PowerPoint is they just go, right? So
Right.
they're not going to dwell or ruminate like a lot of women will get in the habit of.
Right.
They're going to meet each day and forget what just happened the day before.
Right.
Right? Which
Yeah.
aggravates women a lot.
Drive them nuts.
But the male nature is to just go like that conqueror, like that arrow, right? You got y'all are gonna just shoot forward.
That's right.
Who cares what gets left behind? That's that masculine energy. And then the feminine energy holds things, right? Like a womb.
Yes.
It's gonna hold on to things.
For 50 years and longer.
It's gonna hold it in its fist. But that's also a strength, right? Because we need to know.
I don't know about a strength. It tends to
We need
destroy when you
both
hold.
of those things. We have to hold and we have to go forward. You need to know the past, present, and the future if we're going to grow and learn. We can't just keep shooting forth all the time like missiles.
Are you more attracted to masculine strength or girly strength in men?
I like them both in different ways, but I would say mostly probably masculine.
Yeah, I can tell you would need that.
I need it because I'm
Yeah.
too strong, man. I'll just
Yeah.
beat them up, you know.
And my final question, did you have fun?
I did. I had a great time. I hope you did too.
I did. I
Good.
totally enjoyed speaking with you.
Oh, good. I'm so
Thank
glad.
you so much for coming.
My pleasure. Thanks,
Yeah,
Jesse.
I totally appreciate it.
The springtime brings a scent so sweet, a scent of life in times of need. The river flows and I will drown myself.
You want to do anything like
I
that?
still feel the way I did. Look at this. I have a portrait for you.
Thanks for watching The Fallen State. We need your continued support. Donate to my nonprofit here. Subscribe and like the videos here. And tell everybody and their mama about the show.